state. So they were pretty confident about Pennsylvania, but this just obviously reinforces that confidence, Walt.
All right, Candy, stand by. I want to go out to, I want to show our viewers, first of all, Times Square. We've got cameras there. A lot of folks have gathered in Times Square here in New York. They're watching the CNN monitors there. There you can see them. They see themselves on television, so they're obviously excited. But a huge crowd has gathered at Times Square. The Obama supporters there are no doubt very excited that we have now projected Pennsylvania going for Senator Barack Obama. Let's get some feedback on how the McCain campaign might be reacting to all of this. Dana Bash is over at the Biltmore Hotel in Phoenix, Arizona. We can't stress how important Pennsylvania was seen by both of these campaigns. Dana, walk us through this loss for the McCain campaign, what it might mean.
It means a lot. It is a big loss, and Candy just laid it out from the Obama campaign's point of view. But from John McCain's point of view, we spent both days of the last weekend there. He was there several days last week. He deployed his running mate, Sarah Palin, to that state because they, particularly in the last couple of weeks, put everything into trying to turn that blue state, the state that has been blue for 20 years, red. They knew it was an uphill climb. They have said over the past week or so that their internal numbers did see that it was closing a little bit. Public polling, I think, did reflect that as well. But look, I mean, I just got a reaction from somebody who was here when we got the news and told them, they said the reality is they're not that surprised. And now what they're doing is they're focusing on the state of Virginia. McCain aides here tell me that that is really the next thing to watch, to be honest, to see how early this thing is going to be called and perhaps how early we're going to see John McCain come out.
Well, we're going to watch it closely. You're at the Arizona Biltmore Hotel, and at some point later tonight, Dana, we'll be hearing from Senator McCain there, just as we'll be hearing from Senator Obama at Grant Park in Chicago. A bunch of states are getting ready to close their polls at the top of the hour. We'll update you on what we know. Stay with us. CNN.com. You can see all the results coming in live. Our coverage continues after this.
Coverage of America Votes 2008 is sponsored by the American Coalition for Clean Coal Electricity and by the new AT&T. Your world, delivered. Visit the Election Center at cnn.com/election. For it.
Here, 53-46. That's some good news. I look at in Indiana, we see how close it is, and we're only just now getting some Lake County data, but not much. And Lake County going to be a big county there for him. And another important county that I've been showing you about, South Bend, St. Joseph County. This is a county that Bush carried by 2 points. Obama winning it by 17. Look, we got almost all the votes in. That's the good news. But check out Virginia here. We've been following it. About half the vote in. Now, granted, a lot of Northern Virginia still isn't in yet. We got to wait and take a look at that. But Virginia seems to be breaking about as expected. And that's the other thing. And it goes to what Rachel said. So far, everything is going the way it went in 04. We don't have the big flip yet. And when you look at those right now, I'd say these 5 states, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, Ohio, and Indiana, until we see Obama flip one of those, you know, everybody probably should cool their heels in Grant Park.
All right, all the likelies, Chuck, for Obama have gone to Obama. All the likelies for McCain from your map have gone to McCain.
That's right.
The one lean for Obama that's been decided went to Obama, Pennsylvania. The one lean from McCain that went to McCain has been decided. It's Georgia. So that means, I mean, presumably some of those leans might go the other way. That's conceivable. But obviously we're focused in on the 8 toss-up states. You know, let's cut to the nut here.
Right.
Indiana, North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, Missouri, North Dakota, Montana, and Nevada. How many of them can McCain afford to lose?
Well, he can't afford to lose any. I mean, that's always been the issue. He's got to sweep them all, plus make sure Virginia stays in his column. He's got to make sure somehow maybe he doesn't lose Iowa, Colorado, New Mexico. Don't forget those, which were states that Bush carried in 04. So, you know, he can't afford really to lose much, but he hasn't lost any of them yet. And he may not. He's holding his own in Virginia. Florida, I'll tell you, you talk to people who know Florida very well. Our own Mike Murphy, a Republican there. He's done a lot of campaigns in Florida. He's not liking what he's seeing there. This early vote was a big deal, and in talking to the Obama campaign the last couple of weeks, they had loved how their Florida organization was going. For instance, compared to even Ohio, even though they also feel good about Ohio, they always felt like They could pick one of the two that have been the sort of the 04 Achilles heels and the 2000 Achilles heels. They like their chances in Florida.
All right, Chuck Todd, thank you very much. We'll continue to check with you as the night wears on. David Axelrod is chief strategist for the Obama campaign, and he joins us now. David, you're hearing our discussion here. We got the likelies going for Obama, likelies going for McCain. Look at the map for us. Tell us where you make the big
possible combinations as we could muster to get to 270. I think all of our combinations are still alive.
What about your coalition? What from the exit polling is predictive, do you think, of victory if you look at the coalition of voters that are coming your way so far?
Well, look, I think that we've shown strength in rural areas, in urban areas. We've shown, obviously, we're doing very well among women, but we've held our own among men. I think we're running ahead of the patterns for previous Democratic candidates of the last couple of cycles. All of it is encouraging to us, but, you know, we've waited 2 years for this moment. We can wait a couple more hours and count the votes. I think when we do, we're going to be happy with what we see. There is an enormous energy for change in this country. That's why people waited online for hours, as they did today, to cast their votes. And I think that at the end of the day, they're going to get that change, and they know that Barack Obama will bring it. So, you know, we're very happy with what we see so far.
Mr. Axelrod, when you look back at the resources and the time and the money that you spent organizing in Georgia, was that a head fake? Was that an effort to try to get John McCain to spend himself into the ground there, or do you think you had a real shot there?
Not at all. We said from the beginning that we were going to compete as broadly as possible. We didn't want to accept the dreary math of red states and blue states that we've seen over the past cycles, and we were going to compete as broadly as possible. And the fact that they've had to scramble the way they have to hold on to states that were always thought to be solidly in their column, I think speaks to the desire for a change in this country. And the fact that they were pinned down in Georgia, I think, made some of these other states a little bit more vulnerable as well. So, you know, I think our strategy was very sound. I think, obviously, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we'll see at the end of the night. But, you know, I feel good that we've waged a truly national campaign, and that tonight we have so many different possible avenues to victory.
David, it seems like there's been a strong pattern beginning in the early caucuses where you were very successful in organizing them to win those caucuses in the Democratic fight. Being able, you could almost predict it, people with 4 years of college, if that was a high percentage of the participants, you guys would do better than Senator Clinton. And here we have again in Pennsylvania, there was like a 55-45 split in your favor among four-year college people, a split the other way among people that didn't have 4 years of college. Tell me about that sense of putting together a coalition of college-educated people, African Americans, not that they're mutually exclusive, but putting that coalition together. Did you think that out ahead of time?
Well, look, we've thought through all of that, but our goal was not to segment the country. I think everybody has a reason to want change in this country, and you know, our appeal, I think, was very broad, and that was what our key to victory was. We weren't trying to micro-target the country. We were trying to move the country forward as one, and so I think we're going to do better among a whole range of groups in putting this, a winning coalition together, Chris.
David, maybe I'm looking at a number and it's just too big because I've written it too large on the card. I don't know. But this Associated Press exit poll out of Indiana, is this a relevant number or just a piece of trivia? The exit poll suggested that 33% of those who voted for the Republican governor, Mr. Daniels there, also voted for Senator Obama for president. Is this significant or just an anomaly?
Well, I almost think that's a rhetorical question. Obviously, it's very helpful when people are splitting their tickets and going for the Republican candidate for governor and for us. And I think it, again, speaks to the broad appeal that we have. And it's particularly meaningful in Indiana, which has been in the Republican column since 1964. So, look, we've started out trying to build a grassroots campaign for change around this country. I think you're seeing the evidence of it all across the country tonight.
Let me bring in, thanks David Axelrod for joining us. Please, we'd like to get you later in the night when we know more. Let's bring in Tom DeLay, the former majority leader of the House of Representatives, when Republicans had perhaps a stronger hold on power than it looks like they've got tonight. Mr. Leader, thank you for joining us. Are you happy that it looks like, is Nick Lamson beaten? I know he's one guy you want to nail tonight. Is he going to lose that seat of yours?
Well, I think he will. Our polls just closed a little over an hour ago, and I haven't seen any returns in the last 30 minutes. So it looks like there's going to be a new congressman from the 22nd district.
It looks like the whole House of Representatives Republican caucus has gone to hell since you've left. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers here. If Mark Gersh is numbered, he's the NCEC guy, he's an expert in picking these things. It looks like he's right, because our NBC projection now is somewhere around 261. We're looking at it right now, sir, in terms of the distribution of the seats. If the Democrats have 261 seats and your party's left with 174, with a 5-minute rule, with the way the House rules work, it looks like Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Rahm Emanuel can ram through any rule they want, get any vote they want, get any bill passed they want. And that includes card check neutrality, that includes trade changes, that includes tax changes. It looks to me like they can rule the House. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. It looks like Nancy Pelosi is going to be the most powerful speaker in a generation. And she's going to be able to do anything she wants. Everybody's kind of focused on Obama. Obama is going to do the things he wants to do, but as you well know, Chris, it's who controls the purse strings, and that's the House of Representatives that really gets things done. And they've been waiting for 14 years for this moment, and the damage they're going to do to our economy in the short term is just going to be unbelievable right off the bat.
Who's going to be the boss?
You failed to mention that they'll probably double the minimum wage within the next 6 months.
Who's going to be the boss, do you know, having watched the Constitution work as it does its ways with the power united in one party? Do you think the boss is going to be Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker? It's going to be Barack Obama if he wins? It's
going to be Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker.
Yeah.
They're going to run circles around Obama, and if he doesn't play ball, they're going to make him look pretty bad. They'll give him a little honeymoon at the beginning, and he'll get some of his top priorities done at the beginning. But over the next 2 years, for sure, Nancy Pelosi will get her way and be able to do whatever she wants to do.
You know, I like the way you hate, sir. The great thing about hating is you can really understand where a guy stands. There's no BS from you, sir. Thank you for joining us, Tom DeLay. You know where you stand, buddy. It's great. I love having you on this show. Thank you.
I don't hate.
How about resent? How's that? Thank you, sir.
Coming up at the top of the hour, the polls are going to close in 15 states, representing a total of 159 electoral votes, including the battlegrounds of Colorado and New Mexico. The Mountain West coming your way next. We have results and characterizations when we return. MSNBC's election night coverage returns after this.
Teach a teacher about energy, and we can help it.
The White House ends here. 1600 with David Gregory. Move-in date tomorrow at 6 Eastern on MSNBC.
Now on the East Coast, more poll closings, more results to tell you about. We will begin with a projection for John McCain. He is the winner. That's our projection in Kansas. 6 electoral votes. A solidly red state stays in the Republican column. And New York tonight, predictably for Senator Obama, getting 31 electoral votes, according to our projections.
Another one from the likely pile. Michigan goes as expected to Senator Obama, and the votes that didn't count in the primary seem a long way to go. 17 electoral votes for Obama in Michigan.
And in Minnesota, it goes to Obama. The Republicans had their convention there, thought they could contest it. Not the case. 10 electoral votes for Obama.
Wisconsin is just closed and is, as expected, in the Obama camp with 10 more electoral votes in Wisconsin for Senator Obama.
Rhode Island, also to Obama, 4 electoral votes.
Our first toss-up to go. It is not a huge toss-up, not a huge gain, but it is the first toss-up to be decided. And NBC News and MSNBC project that North Dakota will be in the McCain category at the end of the evening. 3 electoral votes for Senator McCain out of North Dakota.
And Wyoming goes to McCain as well. Vice President Cheney had to campaign there earlier this week.
There are a couple of too earlys and too closes still to review, but let's look what's on the board right now. At Obama, 175, McCain, 70. No deviations from the expected map as yet between the likelies. 1 lean each. Obama got Pennsylvania. McCain got Georgia. The first toss-up that we know of, North Dakota projected for McCain.
Let's tell you about the close calls and the early calls. How about this? In Arizona, it is too close to call. John McCain's home state, the polls were tightening there. Too close at this juncture.
And Texas, with its gigantic supply of votes in the Electoral College, is too early to call. 34 votes, a 9%, or rather 11% McCain lead in the latest poll out of Texas.
In Colorado, this is too early to call, but Senator Obama has a lead, vying for 9 electoral votes. This is a big battleground here. Obama wants it in his column tonight.
Again, Louisiana, another huge lead in the polls for McCain going in here, and yet this is considered too early to call. Polls having just closed in Louisiana.
Another state from 2004 that Obama would like to flip is New Mexico. 5 electoral votes, too early to call at this stage.
Nebraska is too early to call. This obviously also in the McCain lean category. Polls having just closed in Nebraska, too early to call.
South Dakota also too early to call at this stage. 3 electoral votes up for grabs there.
And let's review some of the earlier closings. Florida still called too close to call. You see the percentages now. 45% of the vote in. Obama with a 5 percentage point lead in Florida, but too close to call in Florida.
And in North Carolina, 31% in at this stage. Also too close to call. You look at the vote spread there, Obama leading, but not by much.
An Obama lead of a lean of considerable import, not a lead of any margin. Well over the 50% mark, and Senator McCain leading numerically by about 65,000 points. Virginia too close to call.
So waiting for Northern Virginia there. In Missouri, also too close to call. Just 2% in right now. Slight edge for Senator McCain. We'll be watching this one closely.
Indiana now nearly 58% of the vote in, and Senator McCain ahead, but this one still considered too close to call at a margin of under 50,000 votes.
And in Ohio tonight, still too early to call. Just 5% in at this stage, and not much in the raw vote there to look at either, but Barack Obama at 59% to McCain's 40%.
The gist of this being that of those toss-up states where we've already established from all reliable predictions that Senator McCain has to go 8-0,
right.
He's gone 1-0 with 7 undecideds.
Right.
You can take that as it's an umbrella for each side contained in that little statistic.
It's a good time to order the pizza because this is going to go for a couple of hours now. We're not going to be able to call this presidential election until well after 11, it looks like. It really looks like if you look at all the contested states, they're still contested, with the exception, as Keith pointed out, that one state did the blue state, or rather the blue state did stay blue, Pennsylvania. The rest, and they're exciting states. Ohio is always fascinating to watch. Indiana's become fascinating. Florida, of course, always is troubling. We don't know what's happening there. North Carolina remains up in the air, which is a very powerful statement as to how well perhaps Barack Obama is doing tonight. If he were to carry Virginia and North Carolina out of the Confederacy, that would be extraordinary. What I do notice, guys and lady, is I do notice a beginning of a pattern east to west of the Democrats doing well in the contested Senate fights. Yes. The fact that a very impressive Senator Sununu looks like he's been declared the loser, a good guy, in many ways a very impressive guy. The fact that Liddy Dole, with that famous family name, has gone down to defeat. I think we can look forward to perhaps a continuation of that trend. We'll have to see, but it looks to me like they have a shot at the 60 seats tonight, and that is a big news story in addition to the presidency. And what we also heard tonight, another big story, is the success of the Democrats perhaps tonight in picking up at least 20-some seats, 26 seats perhaps, in the House. So if they leave tonight, if they manage to win the presidency, and Pennsylvania is a pretty good leading indicator, they might. If they win the Senate in 60 seats and they lead the House, they come out of the House with 261 seats. As Tom DeLay pointed out, they are going to be potent as hell. So the real fight could be between Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama, not between somebody like Mitch McConnell, if he's still there, and Barack Obama.
If anybody's ever put a piece of paper between Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi on policy or ideology, I have not seen it.
No, but they each have their sense of priority. No, there's a priority difference. It's always a fight over how you schedule votes.
Sure.
And whether Nancy Pelosi may well want to do card check.
What Tom DeLay was trying to sell us about this idea that Nancy Pelosi is going to run off with the country in a way that Barack Obama voters never anticipated is nonsense.
She will respond to her constituency, which is the majority of the House. That's her constituency. It's not the president necessarily.
Let's go back to Chuck Todd, our political director. We want to look inside some of these states that we have yet to call to see how they're trending at this point. Chuck, what are you looking at?
Well, I was looking at North Carolina first, because here, while we're watching this vote, the fact that Hagan fairly handily beating Elizabeth Dole. And we see Obama still with the lead, but a lot of folks wondering, well, what's going on? Well, a big important county to Obama for a big vote total. This is a county that was carried by Kerry, and we don't have much vote in. Look, only 5% in, and this is going to be a big important county. This is Charlotte, Mecklenburg County. This is Charlotte. This is where Obama expects a big vote. We still don't have a lot of vote there. Wake County, another swing county. This one is one where Obama's winning big. This is a somewhat of a tell. 95% in, we got a lot in, and Obama winning it by 14 points. So when you look at what North Carolina looks like right now, if you're the team Obama in their boiler room, you're liking what you're seeing. Now, here's a state where they don't like what they're seeing, and that is Virginia. Now, as the Northern Virginia vote comes in, you can see it's already tightened. About 10% precincts ago, this thing was 10 points, but we're seeing here Fairfax County, you're starting to see some numbers roll in, and this is where Obama expects to win fairly handily.
Chuck, can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
We've got some news. Arkansas has gone for McCain.
Not a big surprise there, David, but the fact that it took a little while to call, probably one that folks thought at some point might shrink. This was a state Clinton carried twice.
All right, that's Arkansas. Continue what you were saying, though.
Going back to Virginia here, we're still looking at Loudoun. We don't have a lot in. This is a swing county. Look at it now, 32% in, 50%. This is where AOL is. This is sort of the East Coast version of Silicon Valley. And then Prince William, the other one, this is where Manassas is. This is where Obama closed his campaign last night. 90,000 people. We don't have a lot of vote in here, only 8%. So I think, though, that this one probably has the Obama people nervous because all the polls showed Virginia. Everybody's polling, including the Republican polling, had shown Virginia enough of a lead that we had moved it to lean. It's not looking like a state that was lean. More good news for Obama, if I would go to Indiana. As you're seeing, we still don't have much out of Lake County. In fact, we have 0% reporting. We still have some vote there, but not a lot. And the fact that in Indiana, Obama is only down 3 points, that's good news. I think it's going to be a long night in Indiana. It's going to be a long night in Virginia. But what's fascinating is the two of the other states we're waiting for, North Carolina and Florida, what are the two things they have in common? Early vote. Obama campaign feels good about where the numbers are in Florida and North Carolina. Where they didn't get to manipulate with early vote, Virginia, Indiana, Ohio as much, a lot tighter.
All right, so Chuck, from your pre-vote map, from the electoral map,
right,
from even the county level, from trends, from demographics, is there a surprise 2 hours after the first set's polls closed?
I think the surprise, when you look at what everything, the surprise is this thing is going to, it looks a lot more like 2000 and 2004 than anybody thought it was going to at this point in time. We haven't seen a state flip. Are the margins narrower, or is Obama already overperforming Kerry in pretty much all of these states? Absolutely. He's certainly overperforming in the blue states. But this is, right now, looks like a very competitive presidential race. And so where I think folks thought this was a couple of hours ago is not where this race is right now.
Chuck, can I just interject here? One of the things we're seeing Mark Ambender on his blog reporting, McCain people saying that they need a miracle. One of the things we've noticed out of the McCain campaign, whether it was the selection of Palin or other stops along the campaign, they anticipated difficulty for themselves. Do they anticipate that tonight? We know what the polls were going in, but as they look at the landscape of performance and counties out and counties that they're waiting for, do they anticipate difficulty? They do, and I think what really hurts them is when you go to Florida. They're very nervous about Florida. These counties aren't going. Let me look at Miami-Dade. We don't even have any numbers out of there yet, and that should scare the Obama. Now there's still some early vote. That's why the precincts. But that should scare them. The fact that some of these swing counties are leaning Obama. Like I said, the next time we talk to Mike Murphy, he knows this state well. He's looked at these county results. That doesn't look good. But for not grim is not the right word, as optimistic as the Obama folks might be right now in North Carolina and Florida, they're very much wound a little bit tight when it comes to Virginia, Ohio, and Indiana right now. All right, Chuck Todd, our political director. More from you as the night rolls on. Thanks, Chuck.
Let's bring in Michigan Governor Jennifer Granholm. Governor, it seems to me that the campaign began to end quicker in Michigan than it did in the rest of the country when the Republicans pulled up stakes in Michigan. What happened up there that led them to believe they couldn't carry it?
I don't know, Chris, but I can tell you, George Bush pulled out of Michigan 8 years ago. And so it's no surprise that John McCain pulled out. For us, as you know, it is all about jobs. Forget drill, baby, drill. Here it's jobs, baby, jobs. And that's exactly why I think that Senator Obama is going to pull it out big time in Michigan.
What are the hopes, do you think, that people have there who voted for the Democratic candidate this time up there and gave him in the state of Michigan, the auto industry? What can any Democrat or president do to save that industry for America?
Well, Chris, you need to have an auto industry that produces the battery, that produces the electric vehicle. We know that Senator Obama's been talking about this vehicle in the United States that leads the world in making sure we reduce CO2 emissions. We believe in Michigan that it's us, that's our opportunity. So it's an opportunity for the next president to craft a grand bargain with the auto industry to produce those fuel-efficient vehicles and have a robust auto industry.